So many people see that as purely a smoker's disease, and unfortunately it's not purely a smoker's disease.
These are chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and chronic obstruction airways disease. COPD is mainly caused by smoking, dust, and pollution. The smoke inflames the lungs, which leads to permanent changes. The walls in the airways thicken and more mucus is produced. In some cases, this can damage the air sacs, therefore the lungs lose their flexibility. It is thought that more than 3 million people are living with COPD in the UK, but only 900,000 have been diagnosed. Probably most people dismiss them for smoker's cough.
Emphysema is the one that I have, which is in stages, and I have stage 1. Stage 1 is where you have a higher use of your lungs, not perfect, but you have a majority of the use of your lungs. You don't use the bottom section, so you're not using 100%, it's like 95% lung. If you think of your lungs as a sponge, your lungs are like 2 great big sponges full of tiny, tiny little holes. And what happens is, when you get emphysema, the lungs lose the sponginess and the holes get bigger. When the sponge sucks in water, it sucks it in very quickly. Because the holes are so small, but with emphysema, they can't do that. So what happens with me is I can't clear the air from the bottom of my lungs. I had an ongoing cough that was treated with steroids and antibiotics that didn't go. And because I have a history of blood clots, a doctor decided that I might have a blood clot on the lung. So he sent me off for an MRI because all x-rays weren't showing anything, and it was picked up on the MRI that I had the emphysema. Because mine is mild, mine is a minor, I'm treated with inhalers. So I have a Seretide inhaler which you take 2 puffs every morning and every night. And then I have an inhaler that I use on a daily basis, very much like an asthma inhaler. But I now have a emphysema specific inhaler, which is a small tablet that's put into an inhaler, and you breathe in a powder. It helps open up all the little ventricles in the lungs, so it helps just to open up and to get the oxygen in. The symptoms I get is I tend to get a persistent cough, and unfortunately for me, the emphysema comes to a head every time, and they say it's the emphysema. But then it's not always. It's not always the emphysema. With my stage, there is no limitation whatsoever unless I'm having an episode. And if I'm having an episode, then I find normal day-to-day things take me longer to do, because the tightness in my chest and the difficulty in breathing, even with the inhalers, you still get the difficulty in breathing. So if I was to be able to walk, or for instance play sport, I can play tennis during the summer, but if I have an episode, there's no way I could pick up a tennis racket. Hopefully, if everything goes as the GPs think, there shouldn't be any long term for me, because I gave up smoking, and because my emphysema is stage 1, hopefully what we've done is we've stopped. You can never cure it, but you can slow it right down. So hopefully, because we caught it, and I'd already given up smoking, I'd already given up 5 years, what we're hoping is that it won't progress. Some people are very tolerant, and I've had people come up and offer me a drink. Unfortunately, my token response is, that's really kind of you, but it is a lung problem that a drink won't work. Some people offer you, little old ladies tend to offer you a cough sweet or some good advice. I have had people give out sarcastic comments. I have been asked to leave areas. I've had people have a go at me for travelling on public transport. and people look at you, they give you dirty looks. Society, and unfortunately my symptoms are irritating because it's a cough, and society isn't tolerant because people don't know enough, I don't feel, about things like emphysema and things that can happen. They know that if you have a terminal illness or if you have a cancer, you know, you'll see people that are undergoing chemo, they lose their hair. That's fine, people take that. When you get an irritating cough that's annoying, I live with it, you live with it, the baby's living with it, the whole family live with it, but people outside, they don't know. And you can't walk around with a great big sticker saying, I have emphysema, I'm sorry, I cough. I have come out with some comments and I have said, excuse me, you know, I'll just die quietly, because it is an illness, but I was classed as a silent one because people can't see it. Because they can't see what's happening, I'm just that person that sits on the bus coughing. If I take my inhaler out and use it, people then stop. And you don't get it if they see you using the inhaler, because then they just say, oh, asthma. Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, it's the tolerance. People they won't tolerate it. I have not had contact with the actual respiratory team in the hospital that diagnosed me since the day of diagnosis. I've had GPs that say the emphysema is very mild, the cough is an aggravated cough reflex, it's a habit, it's an irritation. I've had numerous things, but still I cough. And I do it every year. Normally it's 2 months, 3 months tops since I've been diagnosed. This one is 6 months and we still haven't got a reason why. But what they do is they tend to put you on steroids, antibiotics, and then start messing around and changing your inhalers, and then more steroids, more antibiotics, chest x-rays. But no, this time I don't feel that now. I feel as though a lot of it is you've got emphysema, and then you're brushed under the carpet. I think the hardest thing is when you get diagnosed, because the first thing you think of is it's a death sentence, because that's the first thing I thought. The only thing, if anyone is diagnosed with COPD, is just to try and find out everything you can. Basically, I mean, I did the internet. I weren't getting anywhere with anybody else, so I did the internet. And I went on the British Lung Foundation website, and they're very good at explaining everything about the different stages of emphysema. They also do all the different things that COPD covers. There are people out there whose kids are looking at their parents that are a lot further advanced than me, but a lot of that is down to lifestyle. So it's lifestyle changes.
If you want more information or support, feel free to visit the British Lung Foundation's website or call them on their helpline.